Hello, everybody, and welcome to Mandy's Not So Small Talk. And I'm your host, Mandy. Here, where we dive deep into conversations that some people might want to avoid, but they're the ones that actually matter. So, before we begin, I want to be clear. I'm not a licensed therapist, and what I share here comes from my own journey through my own reading, self-studying, reflection, and my own lived experience. Right? And if it resonates with you, take it with you. And if it doesn't, leave it behind. You need to sit with what feels true and right for you to have curiosity and explore. So what I want to talk about is in the past weeks, we've seen two devastating events. On August 22nd, Iryna Zarutska, a 23-year-old Ukrainian refugee, was fatally stabbed on a Charlotte light rail while simply trying to live her life, working hard, rebuilding after fleeing war. And then on September 10th, Charlie Kirk, a commentarian father, was shot and killed while speaking at an event in Utah just weeks after, and he was actually publicly raising awareness about Iryna's death as well. So these events, they're tragic in themselves, but they also carry a deeper symbolic resonance. They imprint images into our collective psyche, whether we actually realize it consciously or not. Some people online have gone so far as to claim that Iryna's death wasn't real, that she was a crisis actor because the way she bled didn't look right. But pause for a moment. Where do most of us even get our expectations of how violence or trauma should look? From movies, from TV, from theatrical images designed for maximum drama, not medical accuracy. So real trauma doesn't look like Hollywood. Blood doesn't always appear instantly or dramatically, and shock, body position, and clothing all change how it appears. So when someone says, that doesn't look real to me, what they're revealing isn't truth about Iryna, but their own projections shaped by mistrust, fear, and media conditioning. And how painful that must be for her family and her coworkers and her friends, people who actually knew and loved her, to see strangers online erase her reality with those words. That's another cruelty layered on top of grief. That being said, we should always have discernment and curiosity about the things that are being presented to us. And when I watched that video of Iryna's last moments, I saw something else too. I saw the distraction and the desensitization of the people around her. Passengers just kept to themselves. No one reacted. No one tried to stop the attack. And after the man left, no one went to her. No one comforted her, from what I seen. On one level, that may have been fear, but psychologists have studied this for decades. It's called the bystander effect. So the more people present during an emergency, the less likely that it is that any one person will actually step in. So responsibility diffuses across the group, and everyone waits for someone else to move first. And if no one reacts, we take our cues from that silence and assume that it must not be urgent. City life amplifies this even more. In busy urban environments, we are bombarded by alarms, sirens, arguments, and endless stimulation. To cope, we tune out. Over time, tuning out becomes our default. It looks like numbness, distraction, and detachment. That's why you can see someone sitting right there on her phone as Iryna lay bleeding. That image struck me. It shows how disconnected from life we have become, how inhumane it looks when fear and distraction override our humanity. And I don't share this to condemn humanity. I share it as a wake-up call. We need to return to presence, to our humanity, to not let fear or technology keep us from responding to the most basic call of life, to show up for one another. Now, there are even reports that the suspect allegedly said, "I got that white girl." Whether or not that was said exactly as reported, we need to be very cautious with how we receive it, because showing that phrase on repeat can have its own motive to incite more racism, to divide us further, to pit communities against each other. And I want to caution us against buying into that narrative. Whether race was a factor or not, the deeper truth is that this was one human being attacking another human being, a man with deep wounds and untreated mental health issues that were never addressed. He wasn't helped in the way that he needed, or else he likely would have never done this. And Iryna, she was not just a white woman. Archetypically, she represents all women, the vulnerable feminine in society that deserves protection and cherishing, regardless of color, nationality, or background. And the bystanders, they weren't this race or that race. They were human bystanders, each acting or not acting from their own nervous systems, their own histories, their own fears. Many of them likely experienced nervous system shutdowns, combined with desensitization that city life trains into us. That's the bystander effect. It's not about race. It's about humanity. So instead of letting this tragedy divide us further, we need to see the larger cautionary message. Look how disconnected we have become. Look how trauma left unhealed leads to violence. Look how fear and numbness keep us from showing up for each other. These are wounds of the whole, not just of one group. Archetypically, Iryna represents the vulnerable feminine, a young woman who had already overcome hardship, trying to build a new life, and yet struck down in a public space while doing something ordinary. This image imprints deeply. It shows us what happens when the feminine is left unprotected, unseen, uncherished, not just personally, but collectively. And then there is Charlie. Whether you agreed with his political views or not, here was a man who chose to use his voice. And that's the thing. When you truly individuate, you will become polarizing, because authenticity isn't about pleasing everyone. It's about standing in your truth. And Charlie was going through his own individuation process publicly. We could see his views shift over time as he explored and questioned. He wasn't afraid to step up and lead with purpose, even knowing it would draw both admiration and criticism. And that is precisely why he became a target. His life and death send another symbolic message into the collective unconscious. That curiosity is dangerous, that questioning makes you unsafe, that dialogue itself must be shut down. And this is the most dangerous message of all. Because when we fear dialogue, we fear growth. We cut off the very process of individuation and collective evolution. Without dialogue, we stay locked in polarity, unable to hear, unable to integrate, unable to heal. And if we allow this message, that questioning will destroy you, to sink in, we then start exiling one of the most essential human capacity, the ability to learn, to evolve, and to come together through conversation. So what we're seeing here are two archetypes cut down. The vulnerable feminine, silenced and unprotected. The individuating masculine, the voice of purpose, suddenly stopped. And that should shake us awake, because these are the very energies the world is starving for. Without the feminine, we lose compassion, tenderness, and the sacredness of daily life. Without the masculine, we lose courage, voice, and protection. And the fact that both were taken so close together is not just coincidence. Symbolically, it is the collective unconscious crying out, do not exile these energies any longer. We also need to be cautious about the messaging these events give us. Not just consciously, but unconsciously. Because the danger is that they encourage us to shut down the very energies we most need to develop. For women, the message is, you're not safe, even in ordinary life. For men, the message is, don't step up, don't speak out, don't lead. And yet, these are exactly the energies we must protect, nurture, and embody. The question isn't just what happened. The question is, what are we being shown? Consciously and unconsciously. These events are mirrors. They are a message about what must be embodied in each of us. So I want to invite you to reflect. What does it stir in you to see the vulnerable feminine struck down, or the courageous voice silent? Which of these archetypal energies lives in you? And how can you embody it more fully? And if you'd like to take this reflection deeper, I've created a separate guided practice video where you'll be invited to meet your own inner feminine and inner masculine, the anima and the animus, and experience what it feels like for them to come into unity. You can find a link right here at the end of this video or in the description below, because the world doesn't just need commentary. It needs embodiment. It needs women who feel safe to live and be seen. It needs men who feel safe to speak and lead with purpose. And it needs all of us to protect, honor, and integrate both the feminine and the masculine within ourselves and in our collective life. And if this episode resonated with you, leave a comment below. Share what part of you was stirred by these archetypes. And if you found this valuable, please subscribe, share it with someone you love, and let's just keep having these conversations. Because the way that we heal individually is the way that we heal together. See me in the next video.